Though Control is Janet's third album, it's widely considered to be her mainstream breakout. Not only that, Control cemented Janet as her own artist and not just the younger sister of the world's biggest music star. Her first two albums, Janet Jackson and Dream Street, were heavily overseen by her father, Joe Jackson. Janet, who started her music career at around 16, said she wanted to keep acting but did music to appease her father and because she wasn't really enjoying being on the show she was on at the time. Dream Street, written and produced mostly by her brothers Michael and Marlon, underperformed, and afterward Janet fired Joe as her manager. She said about this, "I just wanted to get out of the house, get out from under my father, which was one of the most difficult things that I had to do, telling him that I didn't want to work with him again." Janet, who was about 19 when recording Control 20 when it was released, also wanted control of her own life and was going through a bit of a rebellious phase at the time. Part of this resulted into a very short-lived marriage to James DeBarge against her parents' wishes. The marriage lasted for 4 months and ended in an annulment. For Control, Janet hired new producers, A&M Records' Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis, who she'd go on to work with for decades. Control produced 5 hit singles, but the ones I want to focus on mainly are Control and Nasty. Control, which opens the album, sets the tone for the record. In the intro, over a twinkling instrumental, Janet proclaims, "This is a story about control, my control. Control of what I say, control of what I do, and this time I'm gonna do it my way. I hope you enjoy this as much as I do. Are we ready? I am, because it's all about control and I've got lots of it." The instrumental then fractures into a post-disco sort of funky pop beat. The lyrics, which Janet wrote, tell the story of her life, and not in some abstract, poetic way. She blatantly sings in the first verse. "When I was 17, I did what people told me, did what my father said, and let my mother mold me." Throughout Control, Janet refers to herself as a rebel, says she calls her own shots, and has her own mind to make her own choices. She's not necessarily bad in this track, so to speak, but wants to emphasize that she's no little girl anymore, and she won't be baby. Nasty, Control's second track, opens with Janet commanding, "Gimme a beat." The beat in question is an early example of New Jack Swing, an R&B subgenre that Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis helped pioneer. Janet Jackson is one of the recording artists credited with popularizing New Jack Swing, which is characterized by turntable scratches, heavy percussion, and hip-hop influenced dance beats. Within the song, Nasty has several meanings, nasty being dirty or sexual, and also nasty in the sense of being disgusting or disrespectful. Janet was actually inspired to write Nasty because of all the catcalling and street harassment that she'd faced from boys. While she proclaims nasty, nasty boys don't mean a thing, Janet also sings in a later verse, "Nasty, nasty boys, give me a nasty groove. Nasty, nasty boys, let me see your nasty body move." A nasty groove is referring to an amazing beat, and in this sense also something pretty novel, as in what we might otherwise nowadays call sick or dirty or stank or something of that nature. Again, Janet reminds us she's in control, saying privacy is my middle name, my last name is Control. She then sings, "No, my first name ain't Baby, it's Janet, Miss Jackson if you're nasty." Undoubtedly, this is one of the most quoted parts of the song, and I wouldn't be surprised if it is one of the more quoted song lyrics in general. In the final verse of Nasty, Janet yells instead of sings, showing off attitude and a fiercer side of herself than the sweet, soft-spoken voice she's known for. The music video was choreographed by fellow 80s icon Paula Abdul, and she actually appears in the video. Paula also choreographed the routines for the Control and What Have You Done For Me Lately music videos. Like Nasty, Janet said Control's third track, What Have You Done For Me Lately, was inspired by a sort of sense of self-defense. This is actually Control's lead single. It opens with a conversation between Janet and a friend discussing how her boyfriend stood her up again, with the conversation ending on the question, "What has he done for you lately?" The song is partly inspired by Janet's marriage and how she felt at the time. Since What Have You Done For Me Lately was the first track of Control to come out, it presented a stark difference from the sweet butter won't melt in her mouth sound that Janet had on her previous 2 albums. Critics agreed the new sound represented her independence and that she was making a serious effort to establish herself apart from her family. Years later, Janet said about the era, "Control meant not only taking care of myself, but living in a much less protected world, and doing that meant growing a tough skin, getting attitude." In 2001, Britney Spears began promoting Britney, her self-titled album. The record was meant to evolve her image from the teen pop sound that characterized the majority of her first 2 albums, Baby One More Time and Oops, I Did It Again. Oops, I Did It Again, Britney's most recent lead single at the time, was a cheeky yet romantic Max Martin hit, which references Titanic, one of the most popular romance movies of all time. With her new album, Britney, who was around 19, wanted to showcase not only a more mature side of herself, but also involve herself even more in this album, especially on the production side. Britney, the album, was more R&B and hip-hop inspired than her previous 2 projects. The lead single, I'm a Slave for You, was produced by the Neptunes. Coincidentally, the track had been first offered to Janet Jackson, and she did record a demo. I'm a Slave for You is an R&B dance pop song with a drippy, knocking beat. Throughout the song, Britney ad-libs seductive whispers and breaths, emulating dancing in a sweaty club. Throughout, it seems like she's flirting and teasing with someone, constantly urging them to dance up on her. In the intro, she states, "I know I may be young, but I've got feelings too, and I need to do what I feel like doing, so let me go and just listen." She follows that up with the opening line singing, "All you people look at me like I'm a little girl. Well, did you ever think it'd be okay for me to step into this world?" I'm sure that was a lyric change made once Britney took the song over and meant to further that message of her being more grown up now. Britney premiered this single at the 2001 VMAs along with the more risque costume, even more revealing than the one the year prior, which Britney also received backlash over. In retrospect, her 2000 VMAs performance showed the direction Britney was aiming to go in with her new album. So again, not only were people taking in the entire performance of the 2001 VMAs, and the snake and the costume and the choreography, they were also hearing I'm a Slave for You for the very first time. Britney followed the performance with a racy, sweaty, dance-focused music video in which the costume evokes the one from her VMAs performance. Critics noted how the song marked Britney's progression as an artist, even likening the experimental nature of it to something reminiscent of Prince. In a forum asking those who remember the song coming out in 2001, several said they felt like I'm a Slave for You was unlike anything they'd heard before. And I'm a Slave for You actually did introduce the Neptunes to a wider audience outside of R&B and hip-hop, where they were of course already very popular. Some claim that because the song sounded so different from what they were used to or what they expected, it did take time for it to grow on them, and that it took time for the song in general to become the classic that it's now remembered as. Others claim they vividly remember complaints that the song and the music video were too sexual, either from the media or even their own parents and teachers. However, at the time, both Entertainment Weekly and the New York Times expressed doubt that Britney's new mature image was authentic. Billboard was of the opinion that Britney had always had a commanding and tantalizing presence, and with I'm a Slave for You in the performance, there was less of a juxtaposition between that and her music as there were in previous eras. Additionally, they compared her to Janet Jackson, who are both commanding pop entertainers who set the tone for their peers. Similarly, Britney's second single, Overprotected, expressed an assertion of independence. In the song, Britney declares, "I need to make mistakes just to learn who I am, and I don't want to be so damn protected." The single isn't necessarily good girl gone bad, so to speak, but it has a similar theme of being a grown-up now and wanting to call her own shots. Though both of the singles performed well in other countries, they didn't perform as well domestically. I'm a Slave for You was Britney's first lead single to not go top 10 on the Hot 100, and the album became her first to not produce a top 10 hit. I'm a Slave for You peaked at number 27 on the Hot 100, and Overprotected, the Dark Child remix, peaked at number 86. But in comparison, I'm a Slave for You was top 10 in countries including Australia, Canada, France, Germany, Portugal, and in the UK. Likewise, Overprotected was top 10 in Greece, Ireland, Italy, Poland, and again in the UK. Allegedly because Britney went with Concerts West as the promoter for her Dream Within a Dream tour over Clear Channel Entertainment, who she'd used for all of her previous tours, they blacklisted her music from all Clear Channel stations. If true, this could potentially explain why the singles didn't perform as well in America, because they may have gotten less radio play. Britney the album, however, still went number 1, making Britney the first female artist to have her first 3 albums top the Hot 200. Similar to Britney, Christina Aguilera was also a pop contemporary and former child star looking to establish her image as an adult artist. Previously, she'd released her self-titled debut, Mi Reflejo, which is her Spanish album, and her holiday album, My Kind of Christmas. At the turn of the century, Christina produced number 1 singles like Genie in a Bottle, Come On Over Baby, What a Girl Wants, and her appearance on Lady Marmalade. Despite this success, Christina felt like she still lacked the amount of creative control that she desired. She said about this, "The label wanted to push the cookie cutter kind of play it safe, almost virginal kind of imagery that wasn't me. I really wanted to squirm away from that because I really thought it was really fake and superficial and untrue of what I was about, and it was really hard for me to live up to that anymore." For her new album, Stripped, Christina, who was then around 21, debuted a new, more risque image. This was played up even more with more revealing outfits, piercings, heavier makeup, and especially her black and white hair with the mini braids. This new look was meant to represent her new alter ego, Christina, which is still pronounced the same way, of course, but spelled X-Tina, kind of like how we abbreviate Christmas. The X spelling referred to her now more mature, maybe I wouldn't say necessarily X-rated, but not necessarily intended for kids anymore image. Musically, Christina wanted to go in a more hip-hop direction with her lead single. She wanted something similar to Redman's Let's Get Dirty, with it being said she wanted to release a down and dirty song to really change her image. The final product ended up being 2002's Dirty, which features Redman, and the song's been called a remake of his version. The 2 R's misspelling is just because Christina wanted a unique spelling of dirty that would feel personal to her and her song. Though it's not a word-for-word remix and there are differences in the production, Let's Get Dirty was clearly used as a guide for Dirty, which really isn't a secret or was ever meant to be. In the intro, Redmond says, "Christina, you nasty," to which she enthusiastically and breathfully responds, "Yeah." The song is full of suggestive lyrics like, "I need that to get me off, sweat until my clothes come off," and bodies packed front to back, "Move your ass, I like that," "Tight hip huggers, low for sure," "Shake a little something on the floor." And at the end of every chorus, Christina announces, "It's about time for my arrival." The music video, shot by David LaChapelle, shows Christina as some sort of underground wrestler or fighter, and she actually took boxing lessons to prepare for the video. Throughout, she fluctuates between the fight scenes, suggestive gyrating, and executing choreography with her dancers. Also in the video, Christina wears her now iconic leather jacket and assless chaps. Because of its sexual content, the Dirty video was actually banned from Thai television stations. Critically, Dirty received mixed reviews. Some found the production underwhelming or found the song to be too close to Redmond's. Additionally, they found the lyrics, likely in combination with Christina's image, to be too risque. Previously, several of her more suggestive lyrics, like the ones in Genie in a Bottle, for example, had made more use of innuendo. Others were excited by the single and praised Christina for taking her image into her own hands. On the Hot 100, Dirty peaked at number 48. However, it was a top 5 single in Australia, Canada, Germany, Spain, and Panama, and the song went number 1 in the UK, Scotland, Nicaragua, Ireland, and Croatia. Beautiful, the second single from Stripped, was released just a little over a month later and peaked at number 2, so it's possible the song was the more promoted out of the two, at least in the United States, resulting in its better performance. MTV speculated the single may have been chosen in an attempt to correct course and do some so-called image control for Christina. They claimed that Beautiful had been rushed to radio, hoping to save the hype for Stripped after Dirty didn't perform as well as hoped for in the United States. The MTV article noted that though the single wasn't performing well on radio, the Dirty music video, however, was a hit. David Gottlieb, RCA's head of marketing, denied these rumors and said Beautiful had always intended to be the second single and came out when it meant to. He claimed, "It gives Christina the chance to explain herself beyond a party song and video that caused a lot of discussion. It lets her discuss the album more, and it lets people into how great an album it is, and that it's not just made up of 15 other songs like Dirty, it's made up of 15 other songs of all different types." So I'm not entirely sure if there was a concrete reason or anything deeper behind the scenes as to why Dirty had an underwhelming chart performance. MTV actually proposed it might have been as simple as the song just working better for a visual medium than radio, as is the case with several songs. They, however, believe that Christina's look had nothing to do with it. Jeff McCartney, a radio specialist interviewed by MTV, echoed this, claiming, "Mandy Moore is the sweetest girl in the world and she can't sell anything. Risque didn't work for Mariah Carey, but she was so deep into her career that by the time she changed, she really blew off her fan base. There's a lot of girls who are as wild and crazy as Christina is. Look at how big Coyote Ugly was." Overall, Strip debuted and peaked at number 2 on the Hot 200, coincidentally behind Eminem's 8 Mile. The album, which has gone 4 times platinum, is still Christina's highest selling since her 1999 debut. She faced further backlash over the album's cover, for which she posed topless, but Christina still maintains that was another way to assert her agency as an artist and as a young woman. And in 2018, Christina said her video for Dirty is still one of her favorites she's ever done. She claimed, "Dirty was extremely controversial at the time, but it would be nothing now. I hope I paved the way and helped set the ground rules that women can be any version of themselves they want to be and proud of it." After releasing her first 2 albums, Music of the Sun and A Girl Like Me, within a year of each other, Rihanna geared up to release her 3rd album, Good Girl Gone Bad. This was another quick turnaround, coming out about 14 months after A Girl Like Me. Between the 2 albums, Rihanna debuted an asymmetrical bob at the Kids' Choice Awards. This was a departure from her long, sleek hair that she often sported light brown, summery highlights in. According to Ursula Stephen, the haircut took 2 days to perfect. Rihanna wanted to change her hair to avoid comparison to others with similar hairstyles, Ciara and Beyoncé, for example. The edgier look was also intended to set the tone for the concept of her new album, Good Girl Gone Bad. With it, Rihanna, who was about 19, wanted to transition from her island girl next door image to something darker and more serious. Ursula said a rep from Def Jam was there to oversee the haircutting process, which neither she nor Rihanna liked. Because of this, at first they only dyed her hair black while the rep was there, and then later cut it into the bob after the rep left. The day of the album shoot, Rihanna's hair was cut even shorter. Ursula claimed, "If she didn't change her look, the album wouldn't have been as impactful. Obviously the music would have still been good, but her changing the look really made people pay attention to her." Just a couple days before Rihanna debuted her new haircut, she released Umbrella, the lead single from Good Girl Gone Bad. The Dream, who helped write the song, said it was made with Britney Spears in mind and in hopes it might be her comeback song. Umbrella was also offered to Mary J. Blige. In the song, which is actually built around a hi-hat loop from GarageBand, Rihanna likens her support and protection to being under an umbrella. Jay-Z, her label-headed mentor, features on the track, which opens with his rap verse. Umbrella is well remembered for its catchy chorus, in which Rihanna repeats the ending syllables of umbrella. This was a happy accident, as Tricky Stewart, the song's producer, wanted to have an echoing or reverb effect instead. However, he didn't want to use the software plugin to do it at risk of crashing or slowing down his computer, and instead he and The Dream just decided on doing the repetition on the demo, which Rihanna later also did in her studio version. Umbrella was a smash, spending 7 weeks at number 1 on the Hot 100. The single topped the charts in several countries, including Australia, Canada, Ireland, New Zealand, Spain, and in the UK. Umbrella was widely acclaimed and achieved the goal of maintaining Rihanna's trajectory as the new it girl in music and maintaining interest in her upcoming album. In their review, NME said of Umbrella, "The most flawless slice of chilly R&B since Aaliyah's Try Again, it matched vintage songwriting to some hyper-modern knob-twiddling by producers of The Dream for a minimal sharp edge but curiously affecting sound that seemed perfectly twinned with the shimmering rain of sparks that ends its video. Hella, ella, ella, ella good." The single has since gone 8 times platinum and even re-entered the Hot 100 earlier this year when Rihanna performed at the Super Bowl. The video for Umbrella, directed by Chris Applebaum, followed a month after the single's release. Chris says that for the Umbrella video, Jay-Z and Rihanna more or less gave him full creative control, and Rihanna's only real request was that in the video she maybe wanted to work in a nod to Singing in the Rain. There are actually 2 versions of the music video, with the one being found on YouTube called the Orange version, a nod to the orange background in some of the shots. Chris said the original version, called the Silver version, was the one intended for MTV. From what I understand, they tried to push for the Silver version, which is a different edit, but because of the deadline for MTV, the Orange version was sent because it was already ready. On TRL, the Umbrella video became 2007's longest-running number 1 music video. It was also one of the first videos on YouTube to cross over 1 billion views. For Rihanna, the video helped her step further out of the plastic wrap, as Genius put it, image that Def Jam initially pushed for her. Both Rihanna, critics, and fans also, I'm sure, agree that Umbrella was monumental in shifting Rihanna's image from a teen pop star to an edgier bad girl. Rihanna carried this persona into her future projects, especially Rated R, her follow-up after the Good Girl Gone Bad era wrapped up. Because of it and Rihanna's rebellious devil-may-care attitude, she earned the nickname Bad Gal, a moniker she and others still use to refer to her to this day. Initially, I was thinking We Can't Stop was the obvious choice for Miley's Good Girl Gone Bad single. I've already talked about that one in my Bangers video, so if you're interested, please do check it out. But thinking about it more, I'm like, no, we can definitely take things all the way back to Can't Be Tamed. Can't Be Tamed, which was released in 2010, was the lead single from Miley's album with the same name. Though she had just finished filming Hannah Montana, the show was still airing and Miley was still signed to Disney's label, Hollywood Records. Still, Miley, who was 17 at the time, wanted to begin distancing herself from the Disney image as she prepared for the next phase of her career. With smash hit Party in the USA under her belt, Miley seemed to have a promising post-Hannah Montana pop career ahead of her. However, she did plan for Can't Be Tamed to be her last album before taking a hiatus from music. In the synth-pop single, Miley proclaims she has a wild side that, well, can't be tamed. In the pre-chorus, she expresses her desire for more freedom, singing, "I want to fly, I want to drive, I want to go, I want to be a part of something I don't know. And if you try to hold me back, I might explode, baby, by now you should know." Thematically, this song kind of reminds me of Overprotected, and there are a lot of parallels between Miley and Britney, which is something that Miley herself has noted. Throughout Can't Be Tamed, Miley talks about herself in ways that oppose that Disney girl image, like saying she goes through guys quickly or saying she's a puzzle with pieces that are all jagged. Miley told MTV about the song, "It's just about freeing yourself from anything you think is holding you back." And I think that's really important, especially for girls, because so many people are told, no, you can't do something, or you need to be this because mom and dad say that, teachers say this. In the video for Can't Be Tamed, Miley is a caged bird on display, clearly a metaphor for her life as a child actress and performer. A complete 180 from Hannah Montana, and even from several of her previous looks as Miley, Miley wears a black leather bodysuit and thigh-high boots, complete with dark eye makeup and a teased hairstyle. Initially, she shields herself with her wings like she's shy or vulnerable, but then reveals herself again as if to say if people thought she was going to change or back down, or perform in her cage the way that they wanted, they were sorely mistaken. Eventually, Miley not only escapes the cage with the other birds, who are the other dancers, but also liberates other animals. As expected, several parents were upset about the song in the video, as this display of Miley was very different from her more child-friendly Disney-fied previous singles. On Twitter, former Disney production assistant Jose Onyx revealed that when the Can't Be Tamed video came out, Disney got an earful from angry parents. Because of this, he claims Radio Disney's parent company was told to pull any promotions related to Miley. Despite not being promoted on Disney, Can't Be Tamed actually performed well in the Hot 100, where the single peaked at number 8. Some critics found the song to be a strong effort from Miley that was on par with the likes of pop contemporaries like Kesha or Lady Gaga. Others felt Can't Be Tamed felt uncreative and uninspired because of its closeness to the gritty, petulant pop that Kesha was dominating the charts with at the time. Its likeness to other artists rather than seeming authentic to Miley was actually a criticism that was extended to the entire Can't Be Tamed album. Miley herself had even expressed not feeling as inspired by her music while she was still working on the album. I would assume this was partly because of the battles behind the scenes with Disney, as Miley didn't have full creative control of Can't Be Tamed. And likely because of the album's underperformance, Can't Be Tamed was eventually eclipsed when Miley started her bangers era, and that's probably the era most people think about when thinking about Good Girl Gone Bad in terms of Miley Cyrus. To this day, Can't Be Tamed is still one of Miley's favorite songs because it's one of the few she made at the time that still feels true to her today. While she's not as fond of songs like Party in USA for that same reason, Can't Be Tamed is one that she's continued to perform over a decade after the song's release. After releasing 2 albums and 2 of 2014's biggest pop collaborations, Ariana Grande began working on her 3rd album. Initially, it was going to be called Moonlight and would be led by the single Focus. Focus is noted for its brassy 70s pop production and the Jamie Foxx sung chorus. It debuted at number 7 on the Hot 100, making Ariana the first artist to have her first 3 lead singles debut in the top 10. However, Focus's position fell weeks later, and the song received heavy criticism for sounding too close to Problem. Ariana started recording Moonlight in 2014 after releasing My Everything, and planned for it to come by summer of 2015. By February of 2016, Ariana confirmed the album's title had been changed from Moonlight to Dangerous Woman. She said about this, "Moonlight is a lovely song and it's a lovely title. It's really romantic and it definitely ties together the old music and the new music, but Dangerous Woman is a lot stronger. To me, a dangerous woman is someone who's not afraid to take a stand, be herself, and be honest." Ariana also said the title Dangerous Woman not only better reflected where she felt musically, but also just in her life at the time. In March of 2016, Ariana released Dangerous Woman, her album's title track and new lead single. The Max Martin-produced hit was initially offered to Carrie Underwood, then Alicia Keys, and Rihanna afterward. Ross Golan, the song's co-writer, said Ariana had asked for a chance to record Dangerous Woman, and it was agreed to because of her respect for songwriting, and is now glad that things turned out the way that they did. The album's cover art shows Ariana in a latex BDSM bunny mask, so still that feminine Ariana touch, but now unmistakably more adult. She also put out an a cappella version of Dangerous Woman, wearing the same mask and latex dress. For a few years at that point, Ariana had been ridiculed for looking childish because of things like her ponytail, the floral patterns and bows she loved wearing, and the romantic, dreamy tone of a lot of her music. In 2014, Ariana, who was in her early 20s at the time, actually told Complex she didn't really see herself as sexy and didn't like dressing that way. Even while researching, I found someone saying they were confused when Ariana saying you need a bad girl to blow your mind and bang bang because nothing about her seemed bad until Dangerous Woman came out. This exact sentiment was echoed in Pitchfork's review of the album, so I'm not sure if that's where the person on Reddit got it from, but they were noting the stark difference that her look made just a year later. In the first shot of the Dangerous Woman music video, Ariana stares at the camera seductively with her hair down and wearing black lingerie. Taking out her ponytail, which Ariana had rarely done before because her hair was damaged, and probably also in part because it became one of her signatures, was another sign that she wanted to be looked at differently in this era, of course emphasized by the lingerie. For the duration of the video, Ariana remains in the same setting, which looks like a bedroom, and prances around the room, sings and stares seductively at the camera. Lyrically, Dangerous Woman is about how a certain man makes Ariana feel, so the bedroom setting makes sense. In the pre-chorus, she sings, "All that you got, skin to skin, oh my god, don't you stop, boy." And throughout, Ariana sings about how she's so caught up in the throes of passion, she's being bad or dangerous in a way that she normally wasn't before. In the post-chorus, Ariana says that a bad girl is something that all girls want to be, at least privately, singing, "All girls want to be like that, bad girls underneath like that, you know how I'm feeling inside." Critically, Ariana's vocals were praised on the track as this was another powerhouse showing from her. Pitchfork wrote about the single, "Dangerous Woman is a slinky, empowered Bond theme of a belter. You can practically picture her sauntering down a grand staircase in a floor-length gown and fur on the way to seduce and destroy a lover." However, for as much as they appreciated the song, publications like Pitchfork felt that Ariana hadn't leaned as fully into the Dangerous Woman concept as she possibly could have, and it still more or less felt like a safe era for her. Still, Dangerous Woman peaked at number 8 on the Hot 100, and according to Spotify, it's still one of her most popular singles to date. The Dangerous Woman album was the first of Ariana's to have a parental advisory label on the cover, and to have some of the tracks marked as explicit. I know Dangerous Woman isn't a lot of people's favorite Ariana albums, and some question the direction and the cohesion of it. And while I personally can't say that it's my favorite either, I do think it serves well as a bridge and transition in her discography, and a transition into a lot of the more jaded, less romantic, no strings attached, and sometimes heartbroken music her later albums produced, especially the most recent two, Thank You Next and Positions. Of course, Lil Nas X is neither a girl nor a woman. But more than once, I saw his name brought up as one of the most recent examples of the good gone bad music trope, and I have to admit that I agree. In 2019, Lil Nas X took the world by storm with his smash debut, Old Town Road. The song went #1, where it remained for 19 weeks. The country trap song was a favorite among a lot of children, to the point where Lil Nas X was invited to schools to perform. Old Town Road's success was heightened by TikTok, which of course is an app that several children frequent, as well as artists like Justin Bieber and Miley Cyrus supporting the song on social media. It shot Lil Nas X, whose real name is Montero, into superstardom as he became the latest viral sensation. His second single, Panini, was another hit, peaking at #5 on the Hot 100. That song's title actually comes from the name of a character from Chowder, which is a children's show that used to air on Cartoon Network. At first, Lil Nas had been relatively quiet about his personal life and preferred to soak up the success of his hit singles without creating much controversy. And though he had never explicitly said his music was for children, a large part of his fan base was children, likely because his music wasn't dirty to the point where many parents might be bothered by it. However, that changed in February of 2021 when Lil Nas X released Call Me By Your Name, the lead single from his debut album Montero, with the music video following about a month after. The single was inspired by Lil Nas' own identity as a gay man and considered it to be a love letter to his teenage self. Several of the lyrics reference drugs, sex, and homosexuality, notably the pre-chorus, which reads, "Cocaine and drinking with your friends, you live in the dark, boy I cannot pretend, I'm not phased, I'm only here to sin, if you've been in your garden, you know that you can," and then it goes into the "Call Me When You Want" part of the chorus. Though the lyrics in the song are suggestive and the song does have an explicit rating, much of the Call Me By Your Name backlash was a result of the music video. The video resonated with many of Lil Nas' queer fans, as many had also had Christianity weaponized against them at some point in their lives. On the other hand, Lil Nas X was attacked for blasphemy and disrespecting Christianity with his video, namely the part where he slides down a pole to hell to give Satan a lap dance. He was also accused of attempting to indoctrinate children with homosexuality, with several parents saying their children would never listen to his music again. Lil Nas X responded by tweeting, "I spent my entire teenage years hating myself because of the shit y'all preach would happen to me because I was gay. So I hope you are mad. Stay mad. Feel the same anger you teach us to have towards ourselves." He did, however, mention that he had to get security after releasing the song because he was harassed on the street by someone who hated the music video. I think in comparison to the other artists mentioned in this video, aside from gender of course, Lil Nas X stands out because his sort of transformation, going bad, came very early into his career and on his debut album. Coincidentally, and this is something that I didn't initially notice, every other artist mentioned in the video, their Good Girl Gone Bad came at their third studio album, whereas Lil Nas X's came on his first. I'm sure this in some part has to do with one, the other artists mostly being younger than Lil Nas X was, and two, most of them had some sort of connection to a network that appealed to children when they started making their music. And I would say that Industry Baby was in a similar vein. For his sophomore record, Lil Nas X has said that that project will be more happy escapism, and it's at least partly going to be inspired by Brazilian funk. But as Vanity Fair says, a change in genre doesn't necessarily mean that Lil Nas X is going to shift away from irreverence, whether lyrically, fashion-wise, or conceptually, anytime soon. As always, thank you so much for watching. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe so that you can stick around for more. Also, make sure you follow me on Twitter if you want to keep up with me there, and if you'd like to become a channel member, the link is in the video's description. Again, thank you so much for watching. I love you all so much, and we'll see you so very soon. Bye-bye.